Hello, this is my Blockout level for the favourite media project. I picked Supernatural, the Ghostfacers episode. It's going to be a first-person horror game that you can play with friends in multiplayer, and that'll have its own little elements, but this is mainly focused on single player right now. So you can pick the torch up here, interact with the journal, and there's cameras with all your gear. So this van is kind of the hub of the game. It's going to have all the bits and things that you're going to need to keep coming back to actually make the progress throughout the game. The phone will be used later, and the cameras we can use right now. First, I'll just show you the journal. There we go. So, just little objectives: place cameras, find clues, perfect shot, information, excite spirit, and then you got a little clues tab which you can write in. So anything that you find in the game itself, you can write down so you actually remember the information. So the cameras right now work very simple. You just place it down in the dedicated spots, but it would be something that you could place freely. So if you wanted a camera here instead looking into that window, you could place it there if you wanted to. And so I'll just grab one more because there's quite a few. We don't need to place them all right now. So the cameras would be the way of scoring points in the level. The more interactions you get on camera, the more points you get, the more fans you get. And in multiplayer it would work differently, because if you captured your friend dying by the spirit, you would gain a lot of points, but you would lose some fans for that. And so there's different things that would trigger different things. And this is the first interaction in the house. The cupboard just mysteriously falls over. The spirit at play. So there's quite a few of those again throughout the house, just to kind of keep that scare factor up. But it's also an obstacle for the player. So like if they're running away from the spirit, they've got to make sure they're not bumping into cupboards and getting stuck. So they're going to have to make sure to plan around where they're actually going to be running from these spirits. The doors here interact weird. But again, camera spot, we can run in, place that down. And I've put a salt circle here in front of this camera. The salt circles are what protect you against the spirit. So there's salt throughout the house, you pick it up, run to this, it makes it, and the spirit can't actually enter the circle itself. So there's a completely like safe zone for you. Here in this cupboard, we will get our first clue, and this is a picture of an anniversary that they had, and the date is important later on. So we can progress throughout the house, and I'm going to go into the living room. Same thing again with the camera, and if we, again, all these cupboards are interactable. There would be mainly just like little collectibles you can get for more points and things throughout. So if we walk throughout the house, we have an interaction with the table. You know, the spirit shucking the chairs and the table itself. Again, just little obstacles that the player has to make sure they're running around. Into the kitchen, you've got a little garage entrance, which this garage door does open, just giving you an exit out of the house other than the front door to back to the van. And you have a car with a little cupboard that you can actually get inside and hide, just giving the player more options to be able to hide from the spirit other than just relying on the salt circles itself. And so in these cupboards, here is our first salt. So we have salt. We can then put this in a salt circle. So we'll quickly go out of the kitchen, go back to the bedroom just to show that this interaction does work. Boom, you got salt circle now. So, showing off the house a little bit, you've got little cupboards that the player can just browse through. Might not be anything in there. And in this cupboard, we have a summoning bag. So these will be throughout the game. It's when you pick these up, the spirit will spawn straight away, and so then it's a little hunt chase that goes on. It would last about 20 seconds. So pick that up right now. The spirit does spawn. but just goes directly to that. That would be AI that would then chase you. So you'd have to go through this. The door is wrong right now. But you'd be running through the house, then you could run into that bedroom, stand in the salt circle, and you would be okay. So then going into this room, it's very dark, no lighting, except this little blue sheet of paper. This is a choice for a reason. So when you walk, the lights turn red, and the spirit then walks towards you, just giving a bit of a spooky thing. And so this is another clue, an old newspaper clipping with what looks to be the same man in the picture, another number, and a date. So it says like it's kind of discontrolled. That's just kind of things lore-wise in the game. A horrific murder. And he's scheduled to be buried on the 15th of August at Brunel Court. So spoilers for that one. The location is the important part. So then you kind of come to this door. It doesn't open. You're going to need a key for that. So now we can head upstairs. And which one of the first things you will see is this spirit trap. So you need spray paint for these. And these are located on this level in the shed outside in the garden, which again is also locked, so you need another key that you do not have right now. So I'm going to go into this bedroom, and in this wardrobe there is a safe, and you interact with the safe, and it's just a drop down menu, but this would be a kind of like a dial mini game where you'd actually have to input the date itself, and the key date is the first picture that we picked up, the anniversary. So you use that date, it opens, and you get a key in the safe. So then this key is the first one that we can use to open this door. And now we are outside, but obviously we still need to open the shed. And so if we go into this bedroom, we have another key. So you get close to it, the spirit spawns and comes into the house. I placed the key here in particular partly for that interaction, but also just to show the shed is definitely a place you need to be looking, just in case they've not already kind of gone over there. And just quickly to show off these rooms again, it's just, this one's mainly the camera spot and another hideable closet. I thought I'd trap myself in then. And I really don't, oh, there it is. That's the safe room. And over here, this one is just another salt circle so that you can be completely safe from the spirit. The spirit can find you in the cupboards that you hide in. It's a very temporary hiding spot. So this key opens the shed, in which you get the spray paint that I've just launched out of the building. There we go. And this interaction doesn't work the best because of the sphere collision. I'm going to try my best to... Okay. It just took it. But you would spray this into the spirit thing, and the spirit would spawn and trap. So right now that this is very just quick. The spirit trap itself is something the player would have to decide where they would want to put that. So once they've got the spray can, they can then freely decide to place it anywhere. So if they wanted it on this wall, they could have it on the wall. The spirit would have to run this way. They could have it on the ceiling, again on the floor. Kind of the bigger open areas, it would be better. Up to the player. And also the AI would kind of adapt to how the person is playing the game. So they often put the spirit traps on the floor, the AI would eventually know, and so it would come to this spot and then walk around it. And so that's where kind of having it on different walls itself is beneficial, because if you have it on the ceiling instead, the AI is going to go, well, it's not on the floor, I can walk, and then gets trapped. So once you've trapped the spirit, you can then use the clues you've got. So for example, the newspaper clipping has an address on it, Brunel Court, and so you can then use the phone, call Sam and Dean. This would be actual like voice chat moments, so you would talk in game through your microphone, the actual location, or you can type it out just in case the player doesn't have a microphone. But right now, again, it's just a drop-down menu, so you can select Brunel Court, and this here would play an animation if it's right. So someone didn't find the body, they burn the remains, the host no longer take any more souls. The episode's gonna be a hit. The spirit obviously gets trapped in this window, so that would play a little animation of them being set on fire, and then the spirit would just disappear. And that is the end of my level. Thank you.